Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Saurabh and we are reading Battle of Red Cliff, Romance of Three Kingdoms, chapter 48. So let's get started. Chapter 48, Banquet on the Great River, Cao Cao sings a song. Battle on water, Northerners fight with Jane's ship. In the last chapter, Pang Thong was brought up with a sudden shock when someone seized him and said of his scheme. Upon turning to look at the man, Pang Thong saw it was Shu Shu, an old friend, and his heart revived. Looking around and seeing no one near, Pang Thong said, "It would be a pity if you upset my plan. The fate of the people of all the 81 southern countries is in your hands." Shu Shu smiled, saying, "And what of the fate of these 830,000 soldiers and horses of the north?" "Do you intend to wreck my scheme?" Shu Shu said. "I have never forgotten the kindness of Uncle Liu Pei, nor my oath to avenge the death of my mother at Cao Cao's hand. I have said I would never think of a plan for him, so am I likely to wreck yours now, brother? But I have followed Cao Cao's army thus far, and after they shall have been defeated, good and bad will suffer alike. And how can I escape? Tell me how I can secure safety, and I sew up my lips and go away." Pang Thong smiled. "If you are as high-minded as that, there is no great difficulty. Still, I wish you would instruct me." So Pang Thong whispered something in his ear, which seemed to please Shu Shu greatly, for he thanked him most cordially and took his leave. Then Pang Thong betook himself to his boat and left for the southern shore. His friend gone, Shu Shu mischievously spread certain rumors in the camp, and next day were to be seen everywhere soldiers in small groups, some talking, others listening, heads together and ears stretched out, till the camps seemed to buzz. Some of the officers went to Cao Cao and told him, saying, "A rumor is running around the camp that Han Sui and Ma Thang are marching from Xiliang to attack the capital." This troubled Cao Cao, who called together his advisers to council. Said he, "The only anxiety I have felt in this expedition was about the possible doings of Han Sui and Ma Thang. Now there is a rumor running among the soldiers, and though I know not whether it be true or false, it is necessary to be on one's guard." At this point, Shu Shu said, "You have been kind enough to give me an office, sir, and I have really done nothing in return. If I may have 3,000 troops, I will march at once to Sun Pass and guard the entrance. If there be any pressing matter, I will report at once. If you would do this, I would be quite at ease. There are already troops beyond the pass who will be under your command. And now I will give you 3,000 of horse and foot, and Chang Pa shall lead the van and march quickly." Shu Shu took leave of the Prime Minister and left in company with Zhang Pa. This was Pang Thong's scheme to secure the safety of Shu Shu. A poem says, "Cao Cao marched south, but at his back there rode the fear of rear attack. Pang Thong's good counsel Shu Shu took, and thus the fish escaped the hook." Cao Cao's anxiety diminished after he had thus sent away Shu Shu. Then he rode round all the camps, first the land forces and then the naval. He boarded one of the large ships and thereon set up his standard. The naval camps were arranged along two lines, and every ship carried 1,000 bows and crossbows. While Cao Cao remained with the fleet, it occurred the full moon of the 11th month of 13th year of rebuilt tranquility, AD 208. The sky was clear, there was no wind, and the river lay unruffled. He prepared a great banquet with music and thereto invited all his leaders. As evening drew on, the moon rose over the eastern hills in its immaculate beauty, and beneath it lay the broad belt of river like a band of pure silk. It was a great assembly, and all the guests were clad in gorgeous silk and embroidered robes, and the arms of the fighting soldiers glittered in the moonlight. The officers, civil and military, were seated in their proper order of precedence. The setting too was exquisite. The southern hills were outlined as in a picture. The boundaries of Chai Shang lay in the east. The river showed west as far as Xiakou. On the south lay the Fan Mountains. On the north was the Black Forest. The view stretched wide on every side. Cao Cao's heart was jubilant, and he harangued the assembly, saying, "My one aim since I enlisted my first small band of volunteers has been the removal of evil from the state, and I have sworn to cleanse the country and restore tranquility. Now there is only left this land of the south to withstand me. I am at the head of 100 legions. I depend upon you, gentlemen, and have no doubt of my final success. After I have subdued the Southland, there would be no trouble in all the country. Then we shall enjoy wealth and honor and revel in peace." They rose in a body and expressed their appreciation, saying, "We trust that you may soon report complete victory, and we shall all repose in the shade of your good fortune." In his elation, Cao Cao bade the servants bring more wine, and they drank till late at night. Warm and mellowed, the host pointed to the south bank, saying, "Chao Yu and Lu Shu know not the appointed time. Heaven is aiding me, bringing upon them the misfortune of the desertion of their most trusted friend." "O Prime Minister, say nothing of these things, lest they become known to the enemy," said Shun Yu. But the Prime Minister only laughed. "You are all my trusted friends," said he, "both officers and humble attendants. Why should I refrain?" Pointing to Xiakou, he continued, "You do not reckon for much with your puny force, Liu Pei and Zhuge Liang. How foolish of you to attempt to shake the Taishan mountains." Then turning to his officers, he said, "I am now 54, and if I get the Southland, I shall have the wherewithal to rejoice. In the days of long ago, the patriarch Duke Xiao in the south and I were great friends, and we came to an agreement on certain matters, for I knew his two daughters, elder Xiao and younger Xiao, were lovely beyond words. Then by some means they become wives to Sun Ce and Chao Yu. But now my place of rest is built on the river Chang, and victory over the Southland will mean that I marry these two fair women. I will put them in the bronze bird tower, and they shall rejoice my declining years. My desires will then be completely attained." He smiled at the anticipation. Tu Mu, a famous poet of the Tang dynasty, in one poem says, "A broken halberd buried in the sand, with deep rust eaten, loud tells of ancient battles on the strand, when Cao Cao was beaten. Had eastern winds Chao Yu's plan refused to aid, and fanned the blaze. The two fair Xiaos in the bronze bird's shade would have been locked at spring gauge." But suddenly, amid the merriment, was heard the hoarse cry of a raven flying towards the south. "Why does the raven thus cry in the night?" said Cao Cao to those about him. "The moon is so bright that it thinks it's a day," said they, "and so it leaves its tree." Cao Cao laughed. By this time he was quite intoxicated. He set up his spear in the prow of the ship and poured a libation into the river, and then drank 3 brimming goblets. As he lowered the spear, he said, "This is the spear that broke up the yellow scarves, captured Lu Bu, destroyed Yuan Shao, and subdued Yuan Shu, whose armies are now mine. In the north it reached to Liao Tong, and it stretched out over the whole south. It has never failed in its task. The present scene moves me to the depth, and I will sing a song in which you shall accompany me." So he sang. The song made they sing it with him, and were all exceedingly merry, save one guest, who suddenly said, "When the great army is on the point of battle, and lives are about to be risked, why do you, O Prime Minister, speak such ill words?" Cao Cao turned quickly towards the speaker, who was Liu Fu, imperial protector of Yangzhou. This Liu Fu sprang from Hefei. When first appointed to his post, he has gathered in the terrified and frightened people and restored order. He had founded schools and encouraged the people to till the land. He had long served under Cao Cao and rendered valuable service. When Liu Fu spoke, Cao Cao dropped his spear to the level and said, "What ill-omented words did I use? You spoke of the moon paling the stars and the raven flying southwards without finding a resting place. These are ill-omened words. How dare you try to belittle my endeavor?" cried Cao Cao, very wrathful. And with that he smote Liu Fu with his spear and slew him. The assembly broke up, and the guests disappeared in fear and confusion. Next day, when Cao Cao had recovered from his drunken bout, he was very grieved at what he had done. When the murdered man's son Liu Shi came to crave the body of his father for burial, Cao Cao wept and expressed his sorrow. "I am guilty of your father's death. I was drunken yesterday. I regret the deed exceedingly. Your father shall be interred with the honors of a minister to the highest rank." Cao Cao sent an escort of soldiers to take the body to the homeland for burial. A few days later, the two leaders of the naval force, Mao Chie and Yu Qin, came to say the ships were all connected together by chains, as had been ordered, and all was now ready. They asked for the command to start. Thereupon the leaders of both land and naval forces were assembled on board a large ship in the center of the squadron to receive orders. The various armies and squadrons were distinguished by different flags. Mao Chie and Yu Qin led the central naval squadron with yellow flag, Chang He, the leading squadron, red flag, Lu Qian, the rear squadron, black flag, Wen Ping, the left squadron, blue flag, and Li Thong, the right squadron, white flag. On shore, Shu Huang commanded the horsemen with red flag, Li Tian, the vanguard, black flag, Yue Qing, the left wing, blue flag, and Xiaohu Yuan, the right wing, white flag. Xiaohu Tun and Sao Hong were in reserve, and the general staff was under the leadership of Shu Chu and Chang Liao. The other leaders were ordered to remain in camps but ready for action. All being ready, the squadron drums beat the roll thrice, and the ship sailed out under a strong northwest wind on a trial cruise. When they got among the waves, they were found to be as steady and immovable as the dry land itself. The northern soldiers showed their delight at the absence of motion by capering and flourishing their weapons. The ship moved on, the squadrons keeping quite distinct. 50 light cruisers sailed to and fro, keeping order and urging progress. Cao Cao watched his navy from the command terrace and was delighted with their evolution and maneuvers. Surely this meant complete victory. He ordered the recall, and the squadrons returned in perfect order to the base. Then Cao Cao went to his tent and summoned his advisors. He said, "If heaven had not been on my side, should I have got this excellent plan from the young phoenix? Now that the ships are attached firmly to each other, One may traverse the river as easily as walking on firm earth. The ships are firmly attached to each other, said Chang Yu, but you should be prepared for an attack by fire so that they can scatter to avoid it. Cao Cao laughed. You'll look a long way ahead, said he, but you see what cannot happen. Chang Yu speaks much to the point, my lord, said Shun Yu. Why do you laugh at him? Cao Cao said, anyone using fire depends upon the wind. This is now winter and only west wind blow. You will get neither east nor south wind. I am on the northwest and the enemy is on the southeast bank. If they use fire, they will destroy themselves. I have nothing to fear. If it was the 10th moon on early spring, I would provide against fire. The Prime Minister is indeed wise, said the others in chorus. None can equal him. With northern troops unused to shipboard, I could never have crossed the river but for this chaining plan, said Cao Cao. Then he saw two of the secondary leaders stand up. And they said, we are from the north, but we are also sailors. Pray give us a small squadron, and we will seize some of the enemy's flags and drums for you, that we may prove ourselves adept in the water. The speakers were two men who had served under Yuan Shao, named Chiao Chu and Chang Nang. I do not think naval work would suit you two, born and brought up in the north, said Cao Cao. The southern soldiers are thoroughly accustomed to ships. You should not regard your lives as a child's plaything. They cried, if we fail, treat us according to army laws. The fighting ships are all chained together. There are only small 20-man boats free. They are unsuitable for fighting. If we took large ships, where would be the wonderful in what we will do? No, give us a score of small ships and we will take half each and go straight to the enemy's naval fort. We will just seize a flag, slay a leader and come home. I'll let you have the 20 ships and 500 of good, vigorous marines with long spears and stiff crossbows. Early tomorrow the main fleet shall make a demonstration on the river, and I will also tell Wan Ping to support you with 30 ships. The two men retired greatly elated. The next morning very early food was prepared, and at the 5th watch all was ready for a start. Then from the naval camp rolled out drums and the gongs clanged. As the ships moved out and took up their positions, the various flags fluttering in the morning breeze, and the two intrepid leaders with their squadron of small scouting boats went down the lines and out into the stream. Now a few days before the sound of Cao Cao's drums had been heard on the southern bank, Zhao Yu had watched the maneuvers of the northern fleet on the open river from the top of the hill till the fleet had gone in again. So when the sounds of drum was again heard, all the southern army went up the hills towards the northern fleet. All they saw was a squadron of small ships bounding over the waves. As the northern fleet came nearer, the news was taken to Zhao Yu, who called for volunteers to go out against them. Han Tang and Zhao Tai offered themselves. They were accepted, and orders were issued to the camps to remain ready for action but not to move till told. Han Tang and Zhao Tai sailed out, each with a small squadron of 5 ships in line. The two braggarts from the north, Chiao Chu and Chang Nang, really only trusted to their boldness and luck. Their ships came down under the powerful strokes of the oars. As they neared, the two leaders put on their heart protectors, gripped their spears, and each took his station in the prow of the leading ship of his division. Chiao Chu's ship led, and as soon as he came near enough, his troops began to shoot at Han Tang, who fended off the arrows with his buckler. Chiao Chu twirled his long spear as he engaged his opponent, but at the first thrust he was killed. His comrade Chang Nang with the other ship was coming up with great shouts when Zhao Tai sailed up at an angle, and these two squadrons began shooting arrows at each other in clouds. Chow Thai fended off the arrows with his shield and stood gripping his sword firmly till his ship came within a few spans of the enemy's ship, when he leaped across and cut down Chang Nung. Chang Nung's dead body fell into the water. Then the battle became confused and the attacking ships rowed hard to get away. The Southerns pursued but soon came in sight of Wan Ping's supporting fleet. Once more the ships engaged and the forces fought with each other. Chow Yu with his officers stood on the summit of a mountain and watched his own and the enemy's ship out on the river. The flags and the ensigns were all in perfect order. Then he saw Wan Ping and his own fleets engage in battle, and soon it was evident that the former was not a match for his own sailors. Wan Ping turned about to retire. Han Tang and Chow Thai pursued. Chow Yu, fearing lest his sailors should go too far, then hoisted the white flag of recall. To his officers, Chow Yu said, "The masts of northern ships stand thick as reed. Cao Cao himself is full of wiles. How can we destroy him?" No one replied, for just then the great yellow flag that flapped in the breeze in the middle of Cao Cao's fleet suddenly fell over into river. Chow Yu laughed. "This is a bad omen," said he. Then an extra violent blast of wind came by, and the waves rose high and beat upon the bank. A corner of his own flag flickered Chow Yu on the cheek, and suddenly a thought flashed through his mind. Chow Yu uttered a loud cry, staggered, and fell backwards. They picked him up. There was blood upon his lips, and he was unconscious. Presently, however, he revived, and once he laughed, then gave a cry. "This is hard to ensure a victory." Chow Yu's fate will appear as the story unfolds.